Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Caen coming to you with some live Company of Heroes 2 action going on right now on the map of Caen. It's going to be down here in the south with... Ooh. Strange. Sounds a little bit mixed up, but we'll get there, folks. Don't worry about it. So down here in the south, we have in the blue trunks playing the Wehrmacht, it's going to be ZodiAK. In the north, his opponent playing the USF, it's going to be Tomakaze. So ZodiAK bringing on into the fray mobile defense, lightning war, and elite troops. So if we're lucky, we'll get to see a tiger. But who knows out of that one. Now Tomakaze up to the north, but like I said, the USF recon support, attack support, and armor company. So no Pershings today, which I'm kind of excited about because frankly, it's kind of a pain to always see that late game Pershing. Now, if we do see something like, I would say, the attack support company here, that'd be actually rather good, in my mind. Basically because they have that M4 Calliope as well as that P-47 strafing run in the tighter confines of some of these streets. It can prove rather devastating against the German positions. Now, ZodiAK has already opened up with his infantry company. And also picked up both a MG42 as well as a Grenadier squad. Tomakaze opening up with just a couple of riflemen at the moment. And both players just really looking to take their own territories, working towards their fuel, and if Tomakaze's on top of it, he should be able to take his fuel first. He's not, he's just instead, he's bunkering up and doing all that kind of defensive preparations, let's call it. Now, the problem with that is that you have to be very, very cautious about where you place that barbed wire, because if it's just far enough away, your opponent can still take cover behind those tank traps. Now, in the meantime, those ZodiAK going for that second squad of Grenadiers. Riflemen, in the meantime, going to run into this MG42. And it is not going to go well for them. Just you wait there. But regardless, you know, things are starting off kind of slowly. Tends to be how it goes on here. A couple of bursts of fire will send them away. Nope, never mind, they're not even going to engage. And Germans will get their fuel points, I think, any second here. Yep. And the Americans just a couple seconds after that. So both players really about the same area of resource generation. Germans a little bit behind by virtue of their starting position, but hey, not a big deal there. Now, it would be nice to see a very quick tech into battle phase 1. That'd be a good idea to kind of pick up maybe some mortars. But ZodiAK's not doing either one of those, which is a bit of a disappointment. Now, Tomakaze is going for a 4th squad of riflemen. Then he hasn't really gotten a chance to push to pick up some more fuel points, so it's almost understandable. But these riflemen, despite being really good at medium range, took a lot of damage coming on in. And the Tomakaze is going to be sent packing with 60% casualties on that squad. And with 2 squads of Grenadiers moving on in, it's going to be at least a 2-to-1 cap in terms of overall VPs. Pioneers, in the meantime, running afoul of another squad of riflemen. And these riflemen actually don't even go for the decap, or actually for the cap at all. They're just kind of waltzing around, looking to run into some more interactions. MG42 unloads on the riflemen as the Pioneers retreat. And these other riflemen get back here to start maybe disrupting the German supply position. They'll do a decent job of it. And in addition to that, they're looking to take out munitions points from the Germans here. And maybe, just maybe, capturing them is something of a pincer move, but they're not really too aggressive about that either. So Germans do take a supply position here, cutting off the Americans from the munitions point. And at the same time, the Americans will take away the German munitions point. So both sides looking to play havoc with their enemy supply lines and doing a pretty good job of it, I would say, at least on the German side. Taking this point right here disrupts pretty much the entire western flank for the Americans, and taking this one actually disrupts the fuel. So in both cases, the Germans are coming out ahead here quite significantly. They have battle phase 1 now. They have the Leichte Mechanized Company going on down, and they still have their fuel point in supply here. Problem with that is that right now, ZodiAK's not paying attention to his Grenadier squads. Are pretty much going to get body blocked out and probably going to go down here. I mean, the M1 carbines and the Garands, yep, there goes first blood over here to the Americans, which is a bit of a shock. You would kind of expect to see a little bit more unit preservation, but that's not going to be the case. Now, these Pioneers do have themselves that Flammenwerfer 35. And with that, the Americans do not want to get into any of these garrisons, not the least of which because most of them are very, very damaged. But on top of that, well, with all the green cover, it's just going to make the flamethrower that much more effective. Now, Tomakaze going for a lieutenant. Lieutenant's already out in the field. He's moving on up with his BAR. And with a little bit of a grenade power, which has not yet been picked up, of course, it could be rather good to push back against any potential garrison play. Unfortunately, it does not look like the Americans are really going towards it. Excuse me, the Germans are really going towards that. Being a bit of a bout with hiccups here. But P-guns are coming onto the field. Those STGs will prove rather deadly in the infighting on this map. Germans, in the meantime, do find themselves going to be under a triple cap pretty darn quickly. But they're up about, 30 tickets or so not too much of an issue there. MG42, in the meantime, doing some good work, and ZodiAK's going to be able to get maybe one burst of fire off. No, just chasing them back with some health damage and a dropped model. Now, Tomakaze, interestingly, going for a half-track, the AA half-track, so that 37mm cannon on it, plus the 2 machine guns riding sidecar. And indeed, might even see another Grenadier squad get picked up. That'd be terrible when you think about it, but no, he's going to get away. And these riflemen will find themselves getting suppressed pretty quick. There we go. And with the P-guns coming in behind, doing some good damage there. Now, again, we're going to see just constant flanking, which is going to be the name of the game in this particular map. Unfortunately for the Americans, the MG42 doesn't have to do much just because of the amount of territory you have to cover to make it a legitimate flank. And for some reason, a bundle grenade going on out, like a Bolterledung. But hey, the Germans don't have to worry too much about that. MG42 tries to stay close to its attendant squads as another one moves in to maybe flirts with picking up that center position and decides against it. Now, looking at what the Americans have right now, he knows there's a lieutenant out, which means he knows that there's an opportunity to get an AA half-track. The question is whether or not he decides to go for that 222 anyway, or if he goes for a very weird selection and goes something like a what's what I'm looking for here, like a half-track and just start putting flamethrowers on it. In either case, the Americans will go for an ambo, and that's a good idea considering how beat up their infantry squads are starting to get just in terms of raw health per model. Look, right here, this 5-man squad right here has less than 50% health, about 40%. And really, if any of those guys get touched, they're going to start going down super, super fast. But Tomakaze is very intent on using this AA half-track and is going to be boosting forward with it rather significantly. The question is, will he get it on up before the Germans do something like throw out a Faust? They will. But at least he decaps the fuel point, the strategic point away, but another Grenadier squad will go down here in just a moment. And that's a dead squad right there. Germans are not going to battle phase 2, which is a bit of a mistake. But here comes another Gebotteledung, I'm guessing, right into this garrison. It might be enough. No, instead he's just going to go raw flamethrowers and rifle fire. That'll be good enough for the time being, but if he runs into, yep, this is when it's going to start to hurt. So the Germans desperately need some anti-tank. And they don't yet have really any. I mean, they could call in that double Shrek, but again, that's still another 15, 20 munitions, so another 30 or 40 seconds. And this thing is just going to be a giant terror for the German position. Now, down to the southeast, the Germans will go and pick up this munitions point here and might even be able to pressure on in to take out these rear echelons. Riflemen, in the meantime, being sent packing, while the Americans are coming up hard on the main line here. Not the greatest of decisions. I mean, the Germans can go throw out rifle grenades and do a lot of damage here. And indeed, they are catching them out, and with a burst of flame or two, that could be rather deadly. Flame, set, and that's a match. Going to go and be baking at least one of those riflemen? No, never mind, not going to happen. Well, the Grenadiers get beat up, and that's a bit of a problem there, but I do think that we're going to see some Shreks coming in now. Yep, there's a Shrek squad being made right at the center part of this map. Now, 396 to 461, the Germans are losing some tickets here, but it's not terribly bad. Now, it's still fairly early in the game, I would suggest. And volley fire? Oh, jeez. Volley fire is such a weird ability to be used by the this garrison, but it's decent enough, as I imagine. And now that double Shrek has been made as well, so let's get back up there to see the next engagement by this AA half-track. Yikes. MG42 is going to get churned to pieces until these Shreks get into play, and they're not doing it just yet, not able to get there. And the MG42 is sent packing. And it looks like we're going to see these Shreks come in for that burst and might be able to get one volley off, and that'll be more than enough, I would say. Unless, of course, they throw their rounds immediately into a rifle squad that's about 3 feet away from them. Now, they have taken some losses, but the Americans have taken some losses as well. This BAR, not quite enough to throw back everything the Germans have at this time. And what's more, that engagement has allowed the Germans to come over here and start picking off American territories. They have one VP already, they have a second coming up, taking this strategic point back here, which means the Americans have very little fuel in the way. But still a pretty rough position for ZodiAK's Germans. 385 to 452. Germans need to consider moving up to the next battle phase here. There we go, finally doing that. And they have more than enough now to pick up those medics, so it would be worthwhile to get that immediately. Not quite there just yet. Grenadiers hopping into this garrison, hoping to throw back these rifleman squads to start to come in, and BARs really start to hit the field. That's not going to be the case just yet, though, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Shrek squad coming on through. They have enough for that bundle grenade, and here comes on out, and the Americans don't see it until it's almost too late. Take a tiny bit of damage, but not really that much. And I'm thinking this is where we see this AA half-track go on down. I also believe that Tomakaze is getting on up to his later officers. He just lost a lot of fuel there, and nope, that AA half-track just continues to dip and dive away, so that's pretty nifty right there. But it can't get away forever, even though it's doing a deadly amount of work over here on these poor Grenadiers. And ZodiAK seems to know that if he goes any closer to these riflemen, he's going to lose an awful lot of models. So he's backing away. And I imagine we're going to see a support armor corps being thrown on down. Yep, there we go. At this point, it's a foot race. Who can get to their late game vehicles quicker? Because now this bad boy is parked pretty much outside the German base. And desperately need to be reinforced, healed up, all that kind of stuff. And there's no medics out just yet. So, ZodiAK might have thrown this game here. He has the weapons, he just doesn't have the health of the units to do anything about it. I can almost expect to see this Major coming up to the center part of the map and just throwing down his whole retreat point right there. Which is good, don't get me wrong. Especially for a fairly aggressive USF push. Now, had ZodiAK gone and placed a little bit more of an aggressive start to this, hitting his opponent where his opponent was not strong at all, this might have been different. But he kind of sat back a little bit too much, I would think, and really let the Americans establish the tempo of the game. That's going to be another triple cap coming back out against ZodiAK pretty darn quick here. So, less than 14 minutes in, the Germans are under a triple cap, which almost should not happen ever. And these poor Shreks are just not being utilized at the right targets. They're going to get churned to pieces here in just a moment. Pioneers moving on in, trying hard to get into position to throw out some damage here. And indeed, here comes actually an artillery strike coming on in very, very quick. Not going to do a whole lot, but it will keep the Germans at bay. Looks like another Grenadier squad's going to go on down as well. These guys are, yep, going on down. MG42 going to do some good damage here, be able to suppress a couple of these guys, but getting forced on back by virtue of just all the rifle fire. There's 3 BARs right there, guys. Not going to be easy to move on forward. And at long last, these medics come on out. Now, the problem with this is that he still needs to get out something desperately like this Stug, and there's going to be a Sherman coming out pretty darn quick instead. So, yeah, Germans are really up against a hard wall here. But at least he's got a medic, which means that these guys are finally going to get healed on up. The problem with that is that he really needs to get hard in there, and it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. The Americans have had the entire map capped on out. And it has nothing to do really with the build order that Tomakaze used. I mean, it just has to do with the fact that ZodiAK was not aggressive at all in his play. Or rather, he didn't push it perhaps far enough to do so. There was some good capping early on. But now this 37mm might be able to take out this house. It's going to be close, and you think he will be able to get out in time. Yep, there he goes, but ZodiAK is still... He's got 60% of his opponent's actual armored force, so it's pretty bad there. But 15 minutes in, and all we keep seeing is you just keep seeing these poor Pigrens throwing the rounds at basically impotent targets, or impotently throwing the rounds at these targets. At long last, there's the Stug coming on out, but I don't think the Stug's going to be able to force back Zooks and the Sherman and rifle grenades, and Tomakaze will be able to do that pretty darn quick here. What's more... Yeah, they're getting slaughtered from every direction. Rapid fire barrage is going on down. At long last, these Pigrens do have a round of fire going on out, but it's not going to be enough. These guys are going to get slaughtered here, and we are coming up, really, I would say, to the swan song for these poor Pigrens. Because of that lovely usage of Allied Tank Crush, which I desperately hate, plus the addition of HE rounds coming out of that Sherman, we are basically going to be seeing a dead Wehrmacht player soon enough. And with under 20 minutes on this match so far, the Germans are pretty much screwed here. There's a Sherman parked outside their base, there's the AA half-track, and now with the Stug on the field, it might be somewhat different, but still, we have Zooks in play, we have rifle grenades in play, and while the Stug is easy to take out some vehicles from the front, we just as easily see some flanking opportunities here. You see right now, poor ZodiAK, the bear is getting bearded in his own den. One by one, all the machine gunners are dying, and yeah, that's going to be pretty much it here. ZodiAK not able to hold on, and he just taps on out saying, forget it, boys, I am over with this. And under 17 minutes, with a 423 to 218 end score, Tomakaze takes out ZodiAK, so shockingly quick game from Tomakaze. ZodiAK at the same time, sorry to hear, big guy. But that'll be all, folks. Thank you so much for tuning on in. This is Caen signing off. Take it easy.